Welcome everyone to the channel. So I want to talk about some very important things that we learned in Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 252, as well as the problem with Sukuna going all out against Yuji and Maki. And Sukuna said one thing in particular that is so ridiculous that I don't know if I can believe it. But let's go through this chapter and then we're gonna get to that. So the chapter begins with Ino and Kusakabe talking about their genius plan to surprise attack Sukuna. And apparently this plan is their best and worst case scenario all at once. We're gonna talk about how impactful that is going to be when we get to it. But this was a very smart plan because Ino says that shouldn't more of us have gone in the domain. So I guess the domain was a bit of a spontaneous thing they had to do really quickly when they had Sukuna in the right spot. Because it seems like the original plan was to have a few more of them go inside the domain. But Kusakabe says that that's a stupid idea. If any more of us go inside the domain, we'll draw Sukuna's attention to the outside of the domain and he will suspect that the outside of the domain might have sorcerers waiting for him. And even though Sukuna is like a genius when it comes to fighting and tactics and all kinds of stuff, they still kind of tricked him with this thing that they did with Maki. At the end of last chapter, it was explained that Sukuna was completely taken by surprise by Maki's surprise attack. It's not just like they're gonna go in like regular power out and just try to power through Sukuna somehow. They're actually like really thinking about it. Like to even think about not drawing Sukuna's attention to the outside of the domain is pretty deep. So another interesting thing here, it said that Kusakabe says that there's not many of us that could just go hang around special grade sorcerers without a care in the world. Basically saying that most of them would just get insta-killed against special grades who are fighting like seriously. Let alone a legendary figure like Sukuna who somehow defeated Satoru Gojo, who was just known as a living basically force of nature. So Kusakabe is saying like how many of us do you think could actually like hang around special grades? And Ino is saying that he's almost certain that Kusakabe could. But as far as we know, Kusakabe shouldn't really be anywhere near there. Like Kusakabe should be a grade 1 sorcerer. But I guess maybe he wouldn't get one-shotted, but against Sukuna, I don't see Kusakabe lasting much. So I'm not sure exactly what Ino is talking about. But Kusakabe seems like that cool older teacher character, so I think we will see him have a moment to shine at some point. And then we see Kusakabe telling Maki, "It's all you, Zenin." I can imagine how annoyed Maki must be that he keeps calling her Zenin. Like he says it many times and Maki looks very annoyed. But he's like one of those no-nonsense kind of guys. And he's kind of the one who is the head of this Operation Defeat Sukuna and Kenjaku and all these guys. He's not necessarily the strongest, but he seems like the de facto leader. The most like experienced and level-headed guy they have. And they all seem to respect him. So then it cuts to Sukuna cutting Yuta. And then we see Maki right behind Sukuna at the same time, impaling him. I mean, obviously we talked about how Sukuna would survive this attack, and no surprises, there's no way Sukuna would have gone out to one attack like that, despite the fact that we saw Kenjaku die to just some sneak attack by Yuta. And interestingly, it seems like apparently he's not even breaking a sweat, which is kind of crazy to think about. But this is why they were saying that it's their best and worst case scenario at the same time. Yuta broke the domain a little earlier, but it's their worst case scenario because Yuta just got absolutely destroyed by that world-cutting slash. The good news is if Yuta survived, he'll be able to copy it. And Ui came to take Yuta's body so fast, and Rika held Yuta together so apparently he didn't fall apart like someone else did. And Ui immediately picked Yuta up. I think for sure, almost 100%, they're gonna take Yuta somewhere and he's gonna heal and he's gonna survive. And it's literally the same thing they were doing with Gojo and Higoruma. I'm not sure if Rika can use reverse curse technique because then she might have started healing him instantly. But either way, even if that cut went clean through, like he would still be breathing. Like he's a special grade sorcerer who can use reverse curse technique. He will still be breathing for a while, so they have enough time. With a guy who can teleport within seconds, they definitely have enough time to get him help. But the thing with Gojo and maybe Higoruma is that maybe they were just there too long, because obviously reverse curse technique is not going to bring people back from the dead. But it's still very interesting to me that they're giving Yuta, Higoruma and Gojo the same treatment. Like they're doing the same thing with all three of them. And I have a massive feeling that Yuta is definitely not dead. I don't know what you guys think, but I just feel like he's just not dead. Even though Gege likes to leave things ambiguous sometimes, almost to a ridiculous degree. Like Gojo's death had a lot of question marks around it. Kenjaku's death had a lot of question marks. And now Yuta, we don't know, did he die? Nobara, like what on earth is Gege thinking, I wonder? But there's definitely something, I think, though. There's something going on with Uyi and all that stuff that's gonna get revealed to us later. They said that even though Sukuna is hurt and he's bleeding and he's almost out of energy, he was getting destroyed by Yuji and Yuta. And seemingly, he got saved by the fact that Megumi didn't want to get saved. Despite all of that and all the many times he was so close to dying against Gojo, despite all of that, they're still saying that Sukuna still hasn't decided to go all out. So basically, he's just playing with them. That's what Uraume is insinuating. And even Sukuna against Maki here, she says, because obviously the wound she made in Sukuna's heart is healing very slowly. And apparently the only reason Sukuna is able to see his soul now is because he's existed in the same body with Yuji, which allowed him to distinguish the difference between his soul and Yuji's soul and to see the outline of his own soul, which apparently allows him to heal his soul. It's like, if I can see the outline of my body, then I can use a reverse curse technique, apparently, like in real life. It doesn't make that much sense, but it is Jujutsu, and we don't really know the role the soul plays. But either way, Sukuna is healing his heart slowly. He's forcing his heart to beat, at the same time healing the rest of his body. But I thought his cursed energy and output has just dropped to like 10% or even less. So I have no idea how he's keeping up with Maki here. But Sukuna just goes on to say that he's not even broken a sweat yet. So basically he's like, I'm not even trying. The surprising thing to me about that is, like, obviously, yeah, against Yuta and Yuji, like, he was so close to death. Like, he literally got lucky. So why wouldn't he use all he has and just try a little harder? It's very, very strange. And so is he gonna go all out when he only has like 10% or 5% of his output or cursed energy left? How is that going all out? But maybe in this case, all out doesn't mean like using his full power in terms of like destructive power or cursed energy. Maybe it just means like skill and techniques. Like there's still some things that other sorcerers just can't avoid or can't read that he still has in his back pocket. I think that might be what they're insinuating. And obviously there's still a lot of mystery around Sukuna's character. I'm a little concerned, even though I am quite confident Gege will not heal off Maki again. When I saw Toji first, don't get me wrong, I was very annoyed with how Toji conducted himself and the way he was just willing to kill Amanai like so mercilessly. Like poor Amanai, I felt so sorry for her, and for some reason that scene just hit so much harder in the anime. It was just so sad. So I was a little bit angry at Toji, but at the same time Toji is like a very cool character who has a very unique power. And the first time I was reading through that story, I was like, why would Gege waste this character who has such unique abilities? Like, we will never know like how Toji would measure up against all these other guys. So I was not completely shocked when Maki got the exact same power set as Toji had, and it literally stated explicitly that Maki has completely equal Toji's level. So I think Gege is not going to waste Maki and Toji again like that. And I guess his plan was to get rid of Toji since Toji did something really bad, but still to have that uniqueness that Toji had in Maki. On top of that, Maki has always just had that elite mentality, even when she wasn't strong. She always still just gave off badass energy, and she's got like a cool character and personality that is like admirable. I remember back when Nobara was saying that she really admires Maki, and I could kind of relate to that because Maki is one of those characters who's like, seems like she's always like under control and cool under pressure. Definitely best girl material, and I feel like Gege probably likes her as well. So I don't see Gege getting rid of Maki, and on top of that he can't get rid of all the girls in the series other than Miwa. But I saw some hilarious memes of like Maki saying that I'm really physically strong and I can hurt your soul, and Yuji saying the exact same thing. So it's interesting how their power system is kind of similar. But right now we're seeing that Sukuna has kind of neutralized both of their power sets completely. Sukuna is able to grab Maki's sword, but on top of that, if she does cut his soul, which is supposed to be like a checkmate move, he can just heal it now, even though it's a little bit slow. And apparently, if he hadn't been so hurt from fighting Gojo, when he wasn't going all out. He would have been able to heal his soul much quicker. But yeah, I am a little bit concerned for Maki if Sukuna still hasn't gone all out and Maki is the only one here who is fighting. And obviously Yuji is going to get back up. That's the only reason Yuji didn't get as critically injured as Yuta, so he can stay in the fight. We also see Yuji trying to get up, but apparently the main problem with Yuji is that there's some parts of his body that still haven't healed properly. So obviously he just learned reverse curse technique and he's not as proficient with it as like Sukuna or Gojo. And this goes to show just how ridiculous Hakari's reverse curse technique is, because it's so powerful that he doesn't even need to focus on anything. Like the reverse curse technique just heals everything even if he's unconscious, which is kind of crazy. So I think we're gonna see from now on it being Yuji and Maki against Sukuna. This is basically going to be a replay of the first time Sukuna went into Megumi's body and then he had to fight Maki and Yuji. But back then Sukuna's output had dropped drastically because Megumi was holding him back. But it seems now Megumi has completely given up on everything. But I actually still have hope in Megumi, and it seems like Yuji does as well, because he's saying, Fushiguro, I'm not giving up on you. I think that Megumi is gonna come to his senses, and then Megumi is going to realize that he doesn't want his friends to die. Like, he still cares about them. He doesn't want to see good people, nice people suffer or die. But if you're like a bad person, he doesn't really care. So even though he's grieving and he's really sad and broken, I think by the end, when Sukuna is about to like seriously like hurt one of his friends, Megumi is going to snap out of it. At least this is what I think. Especially Yuji and Maki, since he's really close with those two. But a fair counter to that would be that Megumi didn't do anything when Sukuna was sniping Yuta. Or then again, maybe he did do something, and if Yuta does survive, maybe they will tell us that the reason why Yuta survived is because Megumi held Sukuna back a little bit. I checked Jujutsu Kaisen wiki and it said that Takaba's status was still alive. I need to check Kenjaku, Gojo and all these guys. And I want to see if the wiki is actually going to be saying, oh, they're dead, like certainly, because we don't really have any confirmation. And Nobara as well. So I wonder if it's going to say status questionable or unknown. Wow, okay, so that's interesting. In the wiki, it says that Gojo's status is dead and Kenjaku's status is also dead. So I guess they assume that we have clear confirmation of this guy's status. However, for Nobara, it says that it's unknown. But I would have argued that Gojo's and Kenjaku's fate is as unclear as Nobara's. Maybe Kenjaku's was a little more clear. I think we did see him get stabbed. The only reason why I feel like he wouldn't be dead is because how could a character like Kenjaku go out like that? But it still seems like he's making Sukuna a zombie, basically. Sukuna doesn't seem like he's gonna die from anything. But yeah, this is my review for this chapter. Thanks for watching. Drop a sub if you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.